Now, the first in a special series of reports about rethinking college during COVID. Many students, families, and of course, colleges and universities are reconsidering what this fall will be like as the pandemic continues to dramatically reshape the education landscape. Our series begins with community colleges, which educate about 40% of undergraduates in the U.S. Many were already stretched thin before the pandemic, but surveys indicate enrollment is likely to increase as students and workers shift plans. Correspondent Hari Srinivasan looks at how one community college and its students are coping.
Maryland's Montgomery College, just outside D.C., is eerily quiet these days. During a typical July, the school's 3 campuses would be bustling with summer school students. But like so many colleges and universities around the country, learning here has shifted from classrooms and labs to bedrooms and living rooms.
Good.
Montgomery College is one of the country's most diverse community colleges. It's nestled in a county with pockets of poverty and wealth. About 55,000 students ordinarily attend for accredited degrees and other programs like workforce development. The school was one of the first in the area to announce it will continue remote learning in the fall with a limited number of small lab classes. It's too early to know how many will attend next year, but the school is already seeing an uptick in interest.
If I look at my enrollment for summer, we'll probably be about 20% up in terms of where we were this time last year.
Darianne Pollard is president of the college. She says as the school gears up for increased enrollment, she's staying focused on current students, many of whom were struggling before the pandemic.
So our students oftentimes are hungry. They are taking care of multiple generations at any given time. They're trying to figure out how to get to school. Many of them live very fragile lives, and they're oftentimes one paycheck away from disaster.
In March, that disaster struck when businesses began to close. Many students and their families lost jobs, and some struggled with the move to online learning. That was the case for 19-year-old graphic design major Kayla Savoy. She says she enjoys creating and learning about art in her classes, but technology issues and distractions at home made it difficult to stay focused on school.
The Wi-Fi absolutely atrocious at my house. There's technically 5 or 6 of us all living at once. You have a toddler screaming about Paw Patrol in the background while your 8 a.m. classes is going on.
Savoy is paying her own way through school and says she managed to get straight A's last semester, but she's been struggling to find work the last few months, and it's been hard to pay for things like gas and food. On top of those concerns, she and many of her classmates have been deeply impacted by recent events surrounding racial inequities.
I got to this point where I was like, I don't know how I'm going to be able to juggle more than I already have. And then I turn around and I see more senseless killings of my people. And as a Black woman, I fear for so many of people that are important in my life. It becomes just an overwhelming feeling of what can I do? Can I not study for classes? Can I not go to the store without my life being in danger?
Montgomery College has been trying to help students cope with many of these stresses. The school has distributed more than $3.5 million in emergency aid, money from the Federal CARES Act, private donors, established emergency funds, and $400,000 the school saved from canceled end-of-the-year ceremonies. Early on, local companies donated laptops, and free food was handed out to students and the surrounding community, where unemployment has jumped up in recent months to nearly 9%.
Our students, they don't pop in for 8 or 9 months out of a year and live in a residence hall and they go back to where they came from. They live here. They work here. They raise families here. So as a result of that, the wealth and health of our community is a direct reflection of the health of our community college and vice versa. There's a mutuality to that that demands that we rise up in these moments.
Black Lives Matter!
Pollard says this moment also requires thoughtful engagement and action by the school and academia in general to address systemic racism. During open Zoom forums called Let's Talk, faculty and staff have been facilitating candid conversations.
We're literally watching the murder of people consistently on television over and over and over again. That's not only dehumanizing to the person, but it desensitizes us to what the value of that life is.
And some faculty, like anthropology adjunct professor Amy Caratini, are encouraging students to explore race and ethnicity in new ways.
I think it's just
so important to make students comfortable to talk about these issues. I think there's a lot of nervousness or fear of saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing.
But outside of the classroom, some wonder how well Montgomery College and other community colleges will be able to meet the challenges of these times.
Community colleges have been systematically defunded for years, and they were already in a tough situation when it came to resources, when it came to instructional supports, when it came to being ready to serve these large number of students.
Temple University's Sarah Goldrick-Rabb is a professor of sociology and medicine. She and her colleagues recently released a survey that found nearly 3 in 5 college students across the country have experienced basic needs insecurity during the pandemic. She says lack of funding can lead to staff shortages and limited course offerings, and the current job market may make it more difficult for students to get across the finish line.
These students are at very high risk of going to college for all the right reasons and leaving because they had very little choice. People used to work their way through college in the 1970s and the 1980s. They've always done that. But now work has literally disappeared. This is not a temporary challenge. When these people, if they drop out of college, they're going to struggle for the next 10 to 15 years at least to repay the debt that they owe.
Montgomery College President Pollard has those issues and others on her plate as she steers the college into what could be a rocky fall.
If students do come to us, they will need financial aid. We know that the state and even the federal government may not be able to provide as much because they're trying to raise an economy back up. We know that there's a lot of uncertainty, but here's the thing about it. We've been here before. Community colleges have a deep competency in trying to respond to these types of environments.
55,000 students, more or less, will log into their online classes on August 31st when the fall semester begins. But the school's campuses will remain quiet for the foreseeable future. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Hari Srinivasan.